Yo. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year almost. All that other fun jazz. And that's, yeah, I guess you can't really say Happy New Year before New Year, right? Or maybe, I don't know. Anyway, welcome. What's up? My name's The Schiller. Welcome to another edition of X Feed. As I said, hope you had a phenomenal break. If you're on break or if you're back to work, hell yeah, welcome to the grind. Time to lock in, as they say. So, a couple of things before we kick off today. Number one, if you're watching on YouTube or if you follow me on X, we do the RWA segments podcast. If you're interested in real world assets, seeing all the different teams that are building in that atmosphere, it's a show that's really supposed to be baseline education regarding all of that. Would love for you guys to check it out. If you scroll through, check out the descriptions, the title, see if anything tickles your fancy, if you will. We've interviews with Orange Cap Games, the people behind Vibes TCG. If you've seen the Pudgy Penguin card game, that's been going absolutely crazy. We have Tyler and Ray on for several different episodes who are building an entire database around real world assets. We've recently had Alex Katz from Kerberos, or Kerberos Sentinel, I should say, which is a browser-based security software. I've been using it for a little bit. It is nice. We learn a whole bunch about just security in general, and it's going to be more about stuff that you might not be familiar with. So I think that episode's really, really cool. And then next week, we're dropping an episode where it's all about DPIN. We have had one previously with Patrick Bush from Van Eck, and that was super, super insightful. But this one is from Scott Fu, who's working for Peak Network, which is an entirely RWA-focused chain. And if you're wanting to buy certain equipment to earn tokens, it's a fascinating episode. And I got to debrief it, and maybe we'll do like an entire X feed going over that because it was a really, really fun episode. But that's going to be dropping on Tuesday. T-Doge, what's up? Hope you're doing well. Thank you so much for coming on through. Good sir. Okay, so to kick things off, I just wanted to highlight this from Altered State AI. These are cool, where we're having generative inputs. Now, obviously, you can do this with ChatGPT. I think you can do this with Grok as well. But what's neat with the Altered State one is we're having different intellectual properties from Web3. So right now, they have the Cool Cats one that's available. So you can see that Explorer here had his kid draw a house and a person, and the AI generator it turned it into this. Well, that's specifically for a Fluff World one, but this one was for Cool Cats. And those are the two collections right now. We're waiting to see what other collections get on board, but it is kind of funny to think, well, all right, Pudgy Penguins were really known for all of their memes, but what if anybody can create those? Because typically right now you need an artist to hand draw all of that stuff. And this is one of my favorite ones that I've done, and it's the whole true that we always say, but what are we saying true to? So OX Designer, who works on websites and all this stuff, and it's been something that I've just been smashing the table about every time I visit crypto project websites, 10 times out of 10, it's accurately 10 times out of 10. I never understand what the F the product does. Onboarding billions, in quotes, revolutionizing DeFi, in quotes, and all this stuff. Revolutionize my ass, bro. Make this stuff clear. Just tell me what to do. And I agree. It's so painful when you go to a lot of sites, especially networks. And I mean, so with that said, like, okay, maybe we can give networks a pass because they're trying to tell people, hey, here's those ecosystems that are a part of it. But I think they all kind of read the same. But when you go to a lot of these sites, sure, they have like an About Me page and some of the stuff, but half the time it doesn't link like the correct NFTs. I mean, we went over VFriends and it has the different characters, but it doesn't really explain like what the hell the point of the NFTs are. And it goes back to the point of, are we trying to hide that these are NFTs in crypto and just not using that terminology and just kind of putting out fluff and hope people like really pay attention? Because a lot of the news from some of these individuals does just come from Discord or does just come from X. And if you're not a user of either of them, you're just flat out never going to get involved in them unless there's some other realm, rhyme, or reason. And I'm Tolly. What's going on, my Brumalachi? Okay, I just wanted to play this super quick. So, Wilder World put out their metaverse, and this is, so they had kind of like a 2-minute like opening trailer, and then it goes into the world. And so when we talk about all the worlds, metaverses, and that kind of stuff, it's interesting to see what these look like. When you see Star Atlas, Gigabit, what's going on? Yo, Super Bowl, yo, how are you doing? This is something that is just kind of cool to see in general. I think that we're going to see a lot of similar variants. If you've followed the Emergence ecosystem at all, they've had some trailers where they've shown kind of characters in this fashion, if you will. And I don't know if we will just see kind of all of the metaverse worlds have this futuristic type vibe. That's the only thing that makes me like I don't know if concerned is the right word, because I really don't think that it's the right terminology, because obviously for anime, right, you have like a billion different variations of anime, but when you take Star Atlas, right, and it's kind of this variation, but it's in space, and then Wilder World, and it's this within a city, and I remember, I wish TrueCon was here. There was a certain collection, it was called Helix, I think, if anybody remembers that, and they were touted as being this big kind of like open GTA world, and I don't even know if things are still going on with that, but if you're familiar with the Helix ecosystem, let me know and I'd be happy to chat about it. But we're starting to see all these games that have been building for a while, and we're getting to kind of have our first impressions of first looks. Now, while I was going over, I don't remember what the hell I was searching, but I came across this post from Carabera, who is the one who won that Mutant Mobile, if you remember, the decked out Honda Civic that was the Bored Ape Mutant theme. And they posted this back in March 15th of 2023. All right. And they said Clone X current USD average is almost $7,000 at $6,600, approaching half of the mint value. So it cost $11,000 to mint. Customers' reasons are, and this is again in 2023, lack of communication, too large of an ecosystem, Walmart version merch, no Web3 innovation. NFT debt or NFT revive? Question mark. So, one, hilarious to look back on these things, and we're going to do kind of a look back on a couple of other things. This is going to be a banger episode. Listen, if you got a Briscoe, crack it open, have sit back and relax, because this one's going to be a good one. I appreciate you guys here. And again, if you have any comments as we're going through it, feel free to throw it in the chat, and we'll get to them. So, first of all, when you go and look at the floor price right now, it's about $1,000. This was closer to like 0.2, and it's 0.3 right now. So let's say it was like $800 a little bit ago, but they got a surge for whatever reason after the announcement. Now, the customer reasons for this collection doesn't have the same value of mint. Well, first of all, it was pretty stupid to charge that much of a mint to begin with. And when I've looked at certain mints, it didn't seem like all of them were that expensive. I don't know if it was a team one that I looked at or whatever, but I need to do my due diligence on that. But either way, let's keep rolling with it. So, when you look at lack of communication, hands up if whatever collections you've been in has a problem of the same lack of communication. Okay, phenomenal. So that's all of us. Too large of an ecosystem. So again, hands up if you're in an ecosystem or ecosystems that have too large of an ecosystem. Okay, everybody's got their hands up. Phenomenal. Walmart version merch. I want to feel like kind of 50-50 on it because, well, first of all, I thought Artifact had like decent merch to begin with. But I mean, merch is kind of merch within the space, and most of them are kind of expensive and like decent quality nonetheless. But now that I think about it, I think Artifact did have issues with some of like the collectibles. I think the shoes were fine though, but it might have been something different. Anyway, and no Web3 innovation. I feel like a lot of teams have done the Web3 innovation, so I can't really put my hands up in that regard. I just sold my one-of-one Panini Dennis Rodman NFT for $1,150 on Christmas. I paid $600 for it. Yo, bravo to Rich Buddy. Bringing in the bags. Good stuff. Love to hear it. Hell yeah. I honestly didn't even realize the Panini stuff was going for that much NFT wise. Okay, so we're going to get to this kind of at the, actually, you know what? Do we just do it now? All right. No, damn. Shut up. Okay, I lost the tweet. We're going to have to go back to it in a second. Okay, so let me open up the other tab because this is like a segue into something. Okay, so this has to kind of make sense here. This has to make sense, and if it doesn't make sense, then it's lost. It's Jover, and there's no point in even doing this. Is this one? Okay, here we go. Okay, so I made this post on the 22nd because the timeline was. Listen, you know when you hang out with people and you're like, some of you guys are cool. Some of you are like not cool, and you're like killing the vibe type deal. People were killing the vibe before Christmas. Unbelievable. So this is what I said. Imagine it's the weekend. You're probably off for work for Christmas and New Year's holiday, and you spend your time posting hate online about NFTs, one, that you don't own, and two, that you never will. The biggest haters of NFTs are NFT holders. Check yourselves, please, right? And I'm not really much of one to be like aggressive by any means, but everybody was just slinging these takes of everything's gonna fail. Everything's gonna fail. And this all happened after the Pudgy Penguin airdrop. And it was like, okay, so everybody was excited about the Pengu drop. And now everybody is saying, You're not allowed to drop a token whatsoever, even though we saw every single NFT do that. And we know, if you're not stupid, that every bigger NFT is going to pretty much have to do that at some point, unless it was specifically articulated that this is only art. And by that, I mean art blocks would be a phenomenal example of specifically that, right? But for these 10K collections, all of them are going to have to do a token at one point or another to stay relevant, I believe. Now, we're seeing with Artifact where it's still holding some sort of value just based off the art itself. And we'll kind of see from there, but it was just insane. And so, like, World of Women hinted at a coin. We had a kid called Beast hinting at a coin. We had Cool Cats hinting at a coin. We had Doodles hinting at a coin. And a lot of these collections, we knew something was coming. And obviously, if you've been in the space for a while, I just lost the freaking tweet. Oh my God. Then you would know that all of this stuff is happening. So it's just like, I don't know if everybody's completely uneducated and not paying attention and checking the hell out. Listen, that could be absolutely the case. But I thought it was super, super weird to see that all over my timeline. And it really does show that there's still a lot of tribalism in the space, people that are trying to white knight to tell you like what's good or bad, and they could be completely wrong about this, because remember, this is all kind of new territory for the most part. And the funnier part is like half the collections admitted that they were memeing off of the fact that a bunch of collections were saying they were launching tokens, so people were mad over like actually nothing. Like, what are we doing? Crazy. Bro, I have the top LaMelo card on the chain and it won't sell for less than 18,000 if I can ever, jeez. I have the one of 62 that was an award and super expensive to get. Hell yeah. Yo, LaMelo's still cooking, isn't he? Okay, so this is Cheryl. Hello, Cheryl. And they are at the Upbit conference. Now, I've highlighted the Overpass IP, and it was a site where Pudgy Penguins holders could go and basically offer up their penguin for IP rights. And I thought it was one of the best fleshed out systems we've seen. But here's a quick 1-minute clip of Cheryl explaining that.
So every Pudgy Penguins here, a toy here, is actually NFT owner. So this NFT owner, we have a IP licensing platform, which what we call as Overpass IP. So it's a very seamless program as well. It's a website. All you have to do is, I'm an NFT owner. I put my NFT ID, 1234, and I submit it. So let's say, for example, what we did was a Lotte partnership. So Lotte partnership come up to us and say, we would love to work with Pudgy Penguins, and I have a theme park. I have snacks distribution. But we need a lot of penguins. We need all different kind of characters. We're like, perfect. We have this Overpass IP platform that allows thousands of Pudgy owners to be part of this program. So that's a website. Put on your Pudgy ID, 1234, and submit your ID. So our legal team, so her name is Jennifer, and she would do everything for us. And because I'm an NFT owner, but I'm not a business owner, and when it comes to IP, the regulations is very complicated. So she was able to help us to go through all the legal documents. So we have all legal agreements ready, and all you have to do is just read through and then sign your.
So it's easy. Yo, Believins, good morning, good morning. Hope you're doing well, sir. So I mean, this is simple, right? Like, I mean, for you could say, all right, like, I don't know what I'm Pudgy and it doesn't matter. But I think when we progress through this and this stuff gets bigger and bigger, how many people are going to want to incorporate them into whatever they are building? Now, for Vibe CCG, the Pudgy connection worked awesome, where, I mean, we can make the argument that for like the Nelk Boys with their Board Jerky, they were doing the Board Ape branding, but I don't know if they didn't have any sales from that, or they thought, maybe that wasn't producing anything, so they dropped that branding and tried changing it. But it is something, as we move forward, more of the internet culture, all that kind of stuff should be very, very interesting to watch very closely. Okay, so Polymos. We've been following this for a little bit. Polymos is a platform where you can lend and borrow NFTs. I think Alluvium is one of the few people that are a part of this right now, waiting for Featureverse to get connected. They've hinted at lands being able to get borrowed from. Now, what I find super, super confusing about this, and if you're not like playing TTK, this might be a little bit confusing, but the way that it works is for land, sorry, my bad. For the land is you're able to like stack this and it will give you a bonus production for harvesting resources. So basically you put a harvester on your land and it will accumulate this gold resource over time, right? But they've touted that you need energy to basically get root, mycelium, all this other stuff that has arguably like more value per se. So all of this focus is really on getting more energy, in which you need prisms to even get that energy. So I'm curious to see if this is really only used by people that have a whole bunch of extra prisms like the mega whales, or if there's going to be some kind of perk for people that are just holding lands to make them want that. Because right now I don't really see why you would want to rent land unless you can get it super cheap just to add to your production bonus overall. But either way, still kind of cool. And shout out Tom who made the comment here that said, guess it's time to interact with the platform soon, token generating event upcoming. And I was like, oh, that's actually a great point, because he asked, he was like, I commented about this and he was like, yo, do you have any X-Feed streams? And shout out to Tom for watching this and all you guys here. Appreciate the hell out of you. But he's like, do you have any streams talking about this? And I was like, well, not really, except for this old post that we went over when it originally was announced that the Futureverse integration was coming in Q4 2024, which, I mean, not to, knock on the fake watch that's on my wrist right now, but time is running up for Q4. So we'll see if something happens. But to Tom's point, if these guys are having a token generating event, well, maybe you might want to rent land just for the sake of potentially getting some kind of a token allocation where, again, just being in the space, opportunities abundance. And Believin's just prestige to 40. You are like almost double me. Holy sugar, bro. That's insane. Congratulations. And can I hold $5? Okay, so this I want to do. I set this up and I'm talking to myself, right? And I'm like, how do I present this in a way that doesn't come across as FUD? And I really don't think that there's a possible way for me to present this without it being FUD. I'm going to be totally honest with you. So what I'm about to say, I want this, you ever seen like the Salt Bay guy when he does the, like just imagine that I'm him and I'm full of salt while going into this, because there's no way that I'm going to be able to present this in the right light, because we're going to compare and contrast, right? But it's more of trying to be observationally aware, and also half of the stuff like means nothing to begin with. Okay, so phenomenal. So Lashmi put out this thing that says Abstract NFT project tier list. So Abstract isn't even live yet, right? So that's problem number one with this list. And then number two, I mean, one of the worst things within Web3 is all of these logos and stuff. You don't know what the hell, Tom, what's going on, brother? I don't know what the hell any of this stuff is. Okay, so abstractors, we got that. The plushies, all right. I've seen this. I talked about the R thing before. I don't know what the hell it stands for. And so like if you're making logos out there in Web3, I feel like this would be awesome to have like a list under it. Okay, they put a list under it. Phenomenal. Fantastic. Okay, fun a little bit gone. So if you guys want to check out this post, you're able to do so. Now you can go over all these lists and see what happened, but then I was like, okay, let me go and try to see what else we can find. And then it's like, oh, all right, well, there is a tier list for Barachain, which is another chain that's about to come out. And when, if you're going to put these side to side, again, like, how are you going to tell which ones are good? Are all these collections successful? Do we only focus on the top ones? They have the list under? Okay, phenomenal, they do. And you're going to have to learn all these different things and decide, do I want to go on Abstract? Do I want to go on Bara? Do I want to go on all of the stuff that's kind of legacy that we've been talking about forever, right? And then we go and we look at what happened with ApeChain, right? And this was something that I was kind of like pretty vocal on initially, that I was like, none of this stuff makes sense that's going on ApeChain. It's all copyright. It's all kind of garbage, and I don't like any of it, but it's the first movers that realize how to make these contracts, get the stuff on chain. And I mean, like, ApeChain going full scale innovation on their NFTs, top 4 projects right now. And this is when it first launched, not now. Rewind. Punk clones, rock clones, doodle apes, moonbirds on ape. Like, what are we doing? And like, okay, like, sure, we can say, and like, all right, let everybody have fun. It doesn't matter. But it's like, all right, well, why is everything clones? So when you go back and you're like, okay, like, I don't think necessarily that all these ones are going to be bad by any means, right? And I don't think these ones are going to be bad by any means either. But for like these must-have, all this stuff, like half of these things haven't even launched yet, so we have literally no idea, and we're going off complete speculation where if for anybody that's in the space, you get excited about a new ecosystem, you buy into something, and then the team suddenly like disappears, or there's some other thing that goes like horribly wrong. So I think the tier list things make sense for like things that have been around for a while, but for these new chains, I'm not sold just yet. But when we talk about the airdrops and whatnot from Polymos and everyone else for just simply playing within the space, well, there you go. What about playing the sandbox? You can get a Pudgy Penguin if you play the game, potentially. They posted a whole bunch of other NFTs. There's a Bored Ape up for grabs, etc. So, I mean, $70,000, $100,000, all the stuff, future airdrops. Like, it's crazy the amount that's possible. And again, sure, it's a lottery ticket, but I mean, it's not bad. You play Sandbox for a day, potentially get entered into this thing. Not too shabby. Oh, more money in Web3 for just playing games. Yeah, okay, I got you covered. Bored Ape Yacht Club, it's all been leading to this. The official Dookie Dash Season 1 tournament with the $1 million prize pool will be hosted by Faraway from January 11th to 17th. The reveal of prizes will be announced during the Tournament of Champions on January 22nd, co-hosted and streamed by the Swamp GG. Stay tuned, more details to come. Now, I mean, doing the Salt Bay thing, dude. I did the Swamp GG tournament before, like, so it's Swamp Gaming. Basically, they rebranded from like this other esports thing to focus on like just basically focusing on Bored Ape Yacht Club and the ApeCoin DAO because they got funding from it, which is probably smart, to be honest, as esports are kind of struggling in general. But I was in the Dookie Dash tournament, bro. I made like the final 16, but then they they frigged up 3 to 4 spots at the end, and so people that had lower scores than me got in, and I was like, guys, what are we doing? Unbelievable. Okay, so if I was going to show you this cat, right? Does this cat mean anything to you whatsoever? If I told you that the cat was worth 75,000 American dollars, does that change anything for you? Yo, Somnium, good morning, King. Or if it's 22 ETH. So for those of you that aren't immediately like, that's the Gary V Friends kind of king mascot, that's basically what this is. So for V Friends, they had it over everything. The black cat is just known as the main character for V Friends, but I don't know if that's like, I mean, black cat. Yeah, well, that's the thing. It's like how many people, and this goes to like the brand awareness, right? When we compare and contrast all these different NFTs that are out there, it's like how many of them have really made it so you're aware of this is like the focal mascot, right? Where like Cool Cats, I feel like Blue, and I mean, I'm kind of biased because like I've followed Cool Cats, but I think the majority of people within Web3 or NFTs would be like, okay, like I know what like the main character within Cool Cats is because it's like the entire collection is based off of it. But for V-Friends, it's all these different characters, so you wouldn't know. I mean, Azuki might be another one where you could be like, okay, I don't actually know what like the King Azuki is because there's a whole bunch of them. You still got your Curious Crane. Dude, I had one of those mammoth ones back in the day. Way too much spent on it. Holy smokes. Okay, so when we compare the world changing, right, to being more online, this is a great post by Bianca, but I'm going to like totally derail it. So, yo, I remember you couldn't even have your phone at the cash register while working. Now these employees be on FaceTime, AirPods in their ears. It's nuts. True. People are busy. Things are changing, right? And that's my only takeaway from this is things are changing and we're at the precipice of it in a lot of different realms, whether it be in person, going to a store, whether it be interacting on the internet. The list goes on and on. Or getting into real estate and being able to buy it with Bitcoin. Look at this. Intel La Rosa Holdings plans to integrate Bitcoin and cryptocurrency payments across its network of over 3,000 real estate agents in the US. Not bad. Things are changing. Okay, let's get serious for a second. All right. We're on here and we're kind of like a little group of people right now. Yo, we got Rich Buddy hanging out. We got Believins. We got Somnium. We got Gigabit. We got Mtali, T-Doge, Super Bowl. And if anybody else is missing, I'm sorry, but looking at the chat, that's what we got here, right? And so let's say we have our group here. And let's say we did this more often, like once a day, Monday through Friday. Well, we already do that. Phenomenal. Great reference. And it's kind of a way for our minds to connect, thought-provoking, kind of interesting. Potentially, I might think, all right, this guy's an idiot. True. But here's a stat. 52% of Canadians feel lonely on a weekly basis. Just saw that stat highlighted on a TV commercial. These online communities may be more needed than we think. So to get a little personal here for a second, when I finished college, there was very, very few people that I was friends with. And I was friends with like a fair amount of people because I had like 4 jobs on campus. I was like super involved in everything that I possibly could have. Most people were from other cities for the most part. And so whenever college ended, pretty much everybody moved away. Now there was like a handful of people that would be like, okay, like I could like reach out and like hang out if I want to. But I had my friends at the time that were doing Overwatch every single night. I had friends that were, gaming, online communities, all that kind of stuff. And I was like, listen, like if I want to go hang out with like my older friends from high school, like I'm going to have to drive like an hour, all this kind of stuff. Like I just have a whole bunch of friends that I've made from doing all this stuff. I enjoy playing games. Like I don't really care. I just like doing everything online. Now, I know that's not for everybody, and it could be totally odd that I say that, right? You'd be like, I don't play games. I don't talk to like anybody online. That's totally fine. If you're watching here, I love that you're online in general. Hell yeah. But I think that there's a huge miss of people that don't have friends. Now, maybe, you're friends with your neighbors. I don't know if everybody's friends with their neighbors, right? But how many people do you hang out on a regular basis? And I think it wildly depends. There's some people that are insanely social and other people that just do stuff online. But that stat, and I don't even remember what the commercial was about, but I stopped. I took a screenshot of that and then like I made the tweet because I was like, I think this is really important. I think this is really important. Because people want to have a sense of belonging in some sort of realm. Now, if they haven't found it in something else, well, let me tell you, Web3 gives you all sort of emotions. You have a whole range of people. You're not going to connect with everybody in a specific community, but I can bet you're going to connect with a fair amount of them. Or you will connect with an entire community. You just have to find what your certain, group is. And to believe its point, when you're saying like, oh yeah, like I have the V friends. I remember having a V friend too, and going to VCon and seeing that atmosphere of the people that were there. It was very, very different than the vibes that were at the Bored Ape Yacht Club. Now, I don't know when I went to Ape Fest if it was something where because I have the ape, I was a part of a lot of the community and stuff in kind of the earlier days. Obviously, I've kind of strived more over to like Futureverse and whatnot, but I was able to go to those events and it was really, really cool where people would walk up to me like, yo, Schiller. I'm like, what's going on, brother? Right. And the vibes were a little bit different and I felt like a little bit closer, right, to all the people within the Bored Ape community, but I still respected everybody that I met at VCon because I was like, okay, like, we're all in the same industry, but a lot of them were kind of different. And so I just think this whole online culture and everything is going to become massive. And I think it's super undervalued. Do you still own your BAYC? Yo, Yevon, what's going on? Yes, I do. What were the 4 jobs? So I worked as like a marketing media assistant type deal. For one of them, I worked as campus recreation for one. I did the sports announcing of the whole good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to tonight's matchup, where like the in-house announcer. I do like play-by-play for like that same college now. And then there was one other thing that I'm not remembering what it was. I was on the paint crew for residents one year as well. I'm forgetting one of the jobs. Oh. So we had this thing that was called Universal Break. So the school for like mental health, wellness, and all that kind of jazz, they had every Wednesday for an hour, the entire school had it off, and we did different like events or like yoga, or they had like dogs come by and it was like therapy dogs or that kind of stuff over in the one section of the school. And so like I got to MC those events. So yeah, those were the 4, but it was good times. Anyway, point being, I think community is going to really, really matter for a lot of people. It's nice to eventually meet your online friends in real life. Doja, I totally agree. It's really, really cool. And see, the awkward part though is like, if I've met somebody like a couple years ago, and this happened to Jerry, not the Futureverse Jerry, but the Jerry from Bored Ape Yacht Club, if you're familiar with him, but he's like, yo, do you remember me? And I was like, sugar. Like, it's Jerry. I'm like, oh shit, Jerry. I knew that because I met him like a year or 2 before that. But it's funny, and it is fun. It's definitely a different vibe that way. Okay, so this was one of the heart attacks that I had. One of the absolute heart attacks that I've had because I was really confused. But this isn't confusing. At least I don't think so. So Watcher Guru on like almost Christmas Eve, right? Way to ruin Christmas, says, Justin, the IRS says crypto staking is taxable. Now, 99% of you are going to be like, yeah, we know. No, obviously. And I'm like, yeah, I know that too. But why are they making this announcement if this is something that's like, we're aware of? So I should have bookmarked the comment that I had, but I had a back and forth with somebody that was pointing out, well, maybe they mean that like upon staking, right? Like when you transfer something out of your wallet, like if you change it between yourself or whatever, it's not taxable. But the act of staking is taxable. If that's what they meant, I was like, this totally kills staking in the US, because if you take like a decent amount, that you're going to stake, right? Because most people probably don't put like, $10 in staking. They probably put like several hundreds, if not thousands, when they are staking to try to earn that yield back. That is like insane, because that would just be way too much taxation on that. And you don't know, obviously, with the volatility of crypto, but I don't think that's what it means. But I had this back and forth with somebody that said that. So kind of interesting. Way to give you a heart attack right before Christmas Eve. Unbelievable. Okay, so Bryson had this post that was saying, next year, one of my goals is to advise a few gaming and crypto projects. Awesome, phenomenal, love it. I think a lot of people forget how much like allocations from projects go to like advisors and whatnot. Imagine getting like 0.1% of a supply of like Pengu for being an advisor. I feel like this is going to be a much bigger thing of people wanting to be advisors to projects, because just listen, the capital flowing is going to be unbelievable. Okay. So some somber news, if you will. There was all this talk, and we've highlighted it for a while. Occasionally. Now, this is not a Web3 game by any means, but X Defiant. This was a first-person shooter game that was coming out. It had a lot of big names backing it, a lot of hype. People called it the Call of Duty killer, as you can see in the comment above as I scroll back out. And they did like an open beta and then took forever to release the game. Okay? So just for perspective, right? Because we're in the realm of a whole bunch of games about to launch, and there is a fear that this is going to happen to some of them, but we'll kind of see. This person made a comment regarding this, saying they also overpromised on several topics, i.e. private matches. They released the game later than anticipated, missing some of the key features needed for people to truly make the game big. The stats on release were amazing, but it faded out the longer they dragged their feet on updating. You can't expect people to switch and compete on a game where the only way you can scrim or play tourneys is through a public match queue. So there's a couple things, right? It's like, all right, it sounds kind of like your traditional the game was close, but it had issues. And X Defiant was huge for the week that it happened. Now, to try to compare it to Web3, if you guys remember Off the Grid, well, holy smokes, every freaking person was talking about Off the Grid nonstop for like 2 to 3 weeks. Now, the past couple weeks, has anybody seen Off the Grid on your timeline? Right? And no disrespect to Off the Grid. I played the game. It was fine. It did have a huge cheating problem. The graphics were insane. I will say that if the game doesn't work, they absolutely need to go into like movie making or some kind of show creation, because the opening cinematic for Off the Grid was maybe the best video game opening I've ever witnessed in my life. If you've never played Off the Grid, go look up, try to find the intro. It's wild. It's like Hunger Game-esque. It's really well done. But it does kind of prove the point when you're comparing of like, it had this, but the releases, the updates, all that other stuff didn't happen within time. Now, again, I don't really know what people are waiting for Off the Grid. I know that like the cheating was a big issue at the point, but it is something that we kind of have to be fearful as we move forward into all of this jazz. In the US, you cannot legally be an advisor unless you have a certain paperwork filed. You have to be a consultant. Yo, Tom, you need to make that a tweet, brother. Yo, you need to people that the facts, fiction, numbers, all that. Yo, you got to tell them. You got to tell them. Okay, but I got to tell you, you got to think bigger. Okay, so this logo apparently was a part of another AI agent that was on the timeline before. So it's like, okay, maybe this is connected to something bigger. Think bigger. I like that catchphrase, but waiting to see what's going on with Altered State, which Asto, all the feature-verse ecosystem, a lot of stuff is kind of rolling up here to Q1 of 2025. So I'm very excited to see them. And also, just to highlight, they have done a meme generator right now. They're waiting for, at some point, to have the level 2 comes out where it's actual video variations of that. It's just plug and play, take an image, type a description. I think it's really cool. So Watches.io, which we have interviewed on the RWA Segments podcast. I think it was like the second podcast we ever did, or maybe the third. But it's all, they tokenize watches essentially. So if you go to their site, I can actually go to it right now. But it's funny because like when you look at this and they're like, each watch here is under $5,000. I have such a huge time struggling right now when I'm looking at this stuff and I'm like, okay, this is cool. I love it if I had like a whole bunch of capital to spend, right? Where I mean, listen, $8,000 for this Omega Speedmaster Moonwalker. Yeah, I don't know what that means, but hell yeah, my Brumalachi. You know what I mean? But at the same time, it's like, I feel like I have the fundamental belief that crypto outperforms everything right now. So it's like this makes me think of like more of a what's the right terminology? A sort of value over time, a flex, if you will, if you get to a certain point. But it's cool that there's a whole bunch of collections. And again, like I got Pokemon cards, we got all that kind of jazz. We need to get into graded ones a little bit more. A little bit more. So Jason Dean, I have no idea who that is, but they said, we hired a self-described personality hire, and he has single-handedly improved the office culture in less than 6 months and made work less boring. I'm not going to lie. I really think that like if you go to certain Discords, people are, there is a lack of people that are able to spark interest in others. Get excitement of any sort. Now, is this because you don't have necessarily like public facing figures and so it's not the same, right? Where like I feel like if I can go somewhere and like they know who I am, right? Like in my Discord, right? If I go in there and I say whatever, they're like, okay, like we know who that guy is. We have the personality. But if I go to like some random Discord that like I haven't been in a while, right? Let's say Bored Ape Yacht Club, people would probably be like, who the hell is that guy? Like if you say something, it's not that funny. Like you have to really go out of your way. And so all of these different ecosystems, we have mods, we have people that are involved with it. But if there's not strong discourse, if there's not that recognizability of somebody being there all the time, hitting the right tone, not pissing off a whole bunch of people, I think that the idea of like the vibes director, which was kind of clowned on in the space earlier on, is something that I think would be very useful in a lot of different communities that are out there. Just my 2 cents. Okay, so this person bought this Suzuki for like $400,000. I know we were just looking at $5,000 watches, but like, why not? Let's just like 400x it, go up to $500,000. What are we doing? Holy smokes. God, I love this grail. I guess Adrian's the buyer here, who coincidentally has another Suzuki. This person must be a multimillionaire. Sheesh. Plan to buy after I'm back in Hong Kong without Ledger now, but Suzuki bros are eyeing at this masterpiece. I immediately called my chief of staff to run back to the office from his gym session and bought it. This is so lovely, only at Suzuki. I'm going to just ask it. Do you guys want $400,000 or do you want this NFT? Do you want $400,000 or do you want this NFT? Now, keep in mind, right? If Anime Coin has something where they have the spirits and the rare ability or the rarity really matters within their token allocation, depending on how they do it overall. I mean, how much of that 400,000 theoretically could they get back from that? Is that a grail? I mean, the fact that they don't even use his profile picture is just like insane to me. But for the Spirit Suzuki DAO or the Spirit DAO for Suzuki, this is kind of one of those things that like, it almost like instills confidence in the collection, knowing that you have people that like have that much capital that they want to spend. Okay. So kind of sucks, but Burnt Cheese had to sell their dead fella to pay off some stuff. Right. And that's totally fine. But I do think we have kind of like a problem where most of these collections, like if you sell it, you can't do anything, right? Like some of these ones don't have tokens. Sure, you can buy into like the secondary collections where I think it's like dead pets or dead. What's the animal collection for dead fellas? I don't even remember. But I actually thought they were super cool. If I go to dead fellas, I might actually have it on there. Merch, marketplace, dead fellas. We'll just kind of see if I can find it on here. Because I really, really like the characters. Listen item, undead, rip. Dead fellas stream team, collectibles. What happened to the pets, guys? Where's the pets? Oh my god. The old and the new. Is this the future of TFC? No, this is not it. Where in the world? Okay, so back to the thing of like the site's not showing certain collections, right? Dead friends. Thank you. Okay, so we're gonna have to just go here. We'll go dead friends. Okay. Dead friends. Okay, so 0.01. So so respectfully, these ones like aren't like insanely priced, right? And so you're able to get that. Listen, we might even buy the bird. We're listing 38 rarity on a bird. What are we doing? Why is this on the floor? Unbelievable. But the point being is that like if you have to sell out of a collection, like in NFTs, like you totally lose that community and all that jazz. Like there's literally nothing you can do if you don't have some sort of thing. So I'm curious if collections at any point ever do kind of like a soul bound. I'm curious if they ever do sort of like a soulbound thing for people that like have held for a year or two to be able to access certain chats. I don't know if it's weird. Obviously, we've seen where some holders who are ex-holders by means having access to certain channels sometimes gets out of control if they're like not happy with how things have went overall, steering the sentiment of things. But Again, we don't know. Yo, Ayuba, listen, I don't know if you went all in on Top Shot, but I can't believe that you would do such a thing. Unbelievable. Are the sunken squids relaunching? No, dude. You got to go back on your wall. You got to go to your activity and try to just go all the way down and just recount it. I did a stream a while back. I I don't know what it's called, but if you go on the live feed and you just keep going, you'll be able to see all of it for all the crazy, stupid stuff that we bought back in the day. And it's hilarious. How's the fluff community doing these days? I'm not in Discord anymore. I mean, the Discord's kind of weird. I'm not gonna lie. The excitement's not the same that it was. Aaron was in there a while ago, and that was interesting seeing him being a part of the community. But I think we're at a point now where we're like waiting for other games. We can kind of talk about TTK. There's a lot of people that are in like their side Discords or guilds of certain sort. And so like when there's something to talk about, there is. But otherwise, it's, we're sitting there being like, when quest. I sold Pudgy Penguins for 0.02. Holy shit. That's crazy. Okay, so RFDZ. Highlighted back in the day, RFDZ. If you're watching, thank you so much. So Gordon, who was the founder of BAYC back in the day, went crazy earlier in the year buying NFTs. Over 900 ETH of them, to be exact. Bought a Zombie Punk for 600 ETH. He's not profiled it. Keeps the Bored Ape. An Azuki Spirit for 89. All right, Spirit DAO, there you go. A Doodles Cat for 69 ETH. Very nice. Very expensive. And a gold Pudgy Penguin for 38 ETH, which is funny because like when you look at the top, the current top of Pudgy Penguins during like right before the token drop, it was like at like 38 ETH, I think. 30? It was almost 40, wasn't it? 35? I think it was 35. So either way, it's kind of crazy to think they bought this earlier in the year for what turned out to be like literally the price of a floor penguin. And that one's actually pretty fire. And it's also got the holiday theme. So phenomenal. Collecting money or money laundering? Nah, that's crazy. Listen, then you're asking for the OpenSea airdrop. Ayuba, what are we doing? Yo, Believins, thank you, sir. Hope you have a phenomenal afternoon, evening, and or morning. Okay, so Jawa, which kind of sounds like you're in the Avatar movie. The last one of one Crypto Kong's baby. So Crypto Kongs, Cyber Kongs, I don't know why I call it Crypto Kongs, Kick W. Cyber Kongs has a collection of Genesis ones where they give out a 10 banana a day. There's 1,000 of them. The banana was $100 a day at one point, and people were grail hunting, so spending ample amounts of banana to try to acquire one of the one-of-ones. So I guess for the final one-of-one, they decided they were going to go and do a raffle for 72 hours where you can spend banana to enter. You also have to have a Cyber Kong to be able to do that. But it's interesting that we're seeing more and more raffle type things transpire. Where we saw that with Doodles with the Rubik's Cube for the one-of-one. We got this, where you have to buy into it. Everything's turning into a gamble. LG do set, this was back on December 24th, so we need to do an update because this is probably still a decent bit more from this, but 1.1 million addresses claimed Pengu. That's actually nuts that there was that many people that went out and did that. Okay, so Matty B put out this post that was Team Edward versus Team Jacob. The frig. You guys know Twilight? If you don't know Twilight, listen, you're crazy. But now it's Team Gemesis. Definitely impacts OpenSea airdrop versus Team Gemesis has 0 impact. This has been like the biggest talk in the space that we've seen. And so if we go to Blur, which I want to say points are blocked on the Gemesis. On Blur because they hate each other. Yeah, points disabled on the top, isn't that funny? But I mean, if we look at the 1 month chart, that doesn't show the right way that I want it to. Yeah, kind of. Not really. I feel like this is not loading right. Come on. What are we doing? This is not working. All right. We'll just go to the price and we'll go to OpenSea because Blur is absolutely punting the pooch on this one. Okay, so these Gemesises right now are sitting at about 231. So to go back a little bit, the reason that these were highlighted the way they were doing, one, just general speculation, but two, the AI XPT posted saying that you need 3 of these. Sorry, it's an AI. I can't say it changed its thought, right? And said like, oh, that was maybe misinformed information. And so everybody's making different posts about this and commenting on the fact that the description says what it is. Now, if you watched stream before, I've gone over this a whole bunch, so I don't want to spend too much time on it. But it's interesting that we're going to watch this, and this could either go like pretty much straight to 0 immediately, or if it is hinted that these are important, these things just absolutely fly. And I think it'll be very, very, very interesting to watch how that transpires. Okay, Justin Taylor, every Twitter DM group I get added to, no matter what it's initially about, slowly just turns into people just posting their own tweets looking for amplification. True. Don't ever add me to a Twitter group. And true. It's Twitter groups are like the worst thing because you can't turn off notifications either, so you always get pinged out of it. Twitter groups are like the worst things on the planet. I don't know why the hell they have not figured it out. Okay. Listen, not to add a little bit of FUD, but I think that there's like a huge thing within the space where there's all these collections that were highlighted about certain things, and we haven't seen the full fruits of that labor yet. Now, does that mean that it's gone donezo, kind of like the artifact situation, or more to come? But JPEG Flip is saying, remember when 10K TF Shop had people do missions for popcorn for over a year just to deliver Fiverr art, never acknowledged them again? Okay, so listen, geez, Murphy, I didn't think the art was that bad. I thought it wasn't profile picture worthy, like at all. It was just kind of like different characters within this world. But I mean, I guess if it's connected with other side, all this kind of other stuff, I don't know what the hell is even going on with 10K Shop. Like, I think it's a part of this. And this kind of summarizes, right? I should have thrown this earlier, but if we go back to some of the early days, when you look at collections that were on tier lists, I think 10K TF Shop from most people were put into like the A or S tier of like, this is awesome, it's going to be good, because it was something that was selling on secondary. People were interested in it. But of course, over time, it doesn't have that. So that's why I think these tier lists are really, really not great. And you have to have ample amount of time transpired to be able to successfully look back, make a tier list, and have all the different angles that are part of it. Okay, Daniel got hits. This is another one. Imagine being young, somewhat interested in finance, and not being balls deep into learning about practicing or learning about or participating in crypto. We're at the cusp of an internet level revolution, and people just missing the entire thing. I agree. This is really well put, right? Because listen, I'm not forceful. If people don't want to talk about this stuff, I don't care. We throw this out here, and it's like, hopefully you find somebody that's of interest, but it is insane to think about the possibilities through all this stuff, and a lot of people just simply don't care, and they think it's stupid. It's wild to me. It's wild. Okay, 3 years ago today, this was back on December 24th, the SOS drop happened, and they got 4 figures. I remember when the SOS drop happened. Do you guys remember that back in the day? There was also Year, which was a honeypot, and this was also when Proof Pass kind of first launched. So, fun story. Not really that fun, but I'll tell you anyway for transparency. I sold my the Proof Pass that I had. I think I bought it for like an ETH or 2 ETH. I don't remember what it was at the time. And I sold it, and I bought the Year token. So SOS Year, there's a whole bunch of people just launching tokens. I bought the Year. It was a honeypot, which means money can go in, but money can't go out. And that's probably the biggest lesson that I learned at the time. Wasn't like, it's like your wallet wasn't scammed or anything like that. It was just, your tokens are valueless essentially because you can't do anything with them. And then Proof ran to 100 ETH. So I basically missed out on 100x of like obscene amounts. But I mean, Proof Pass, now, if you're going to go look at Proof Pass, it basically doesn't exist anymore. Like, these things, the Kevin Rose incident, the whole everything, 1,000 of these things were down to 0.8 ETH somehow, but $2,000, these went up to like several hundred thousand. Insanity at the time. Okay, so when you hear people talk about interoperability, different brands wanting to do different things, I think some fit together, some don't. But this was an interesting point where Monte Cristo was highlighting that Arcane, which is a show about League of Legends, decided that they were going to do some kind of like promo with the NFL. So they have like Patrick Mahomes as like one of the League of Legends characters. They got Russell Wilson in here. We got Lamar Jackson. I got CJ Stroud as these characters. And like, I mean, for the average person, I feel like it's like, okay, well, those like look okay, but it kind of feels like a little bit awkward. You know what I mean? Yo, 332 million USDT transfer from unknown wallet to Bitfinex. Yo, Tom, I thought you were going to say something about it. I was going into the silo or something. I was going to get excited, man. Man, absolutely wrong. What are we doing, brother? But yeah. So the point being, and why am I bringing this up, is I think a lot of brands are going to want to try to cross-pollinate in whatever way they can. How do they do advertisement of certain sorts? How does the metaverse or online engagement, interaction potentially help out with that? I think we'll find that out very shortly here within the Web3 space. I just realized the majority of people in crypto still think NFTs are a joke from last cycle. They have no idea what's happening in the market right now. Way higher in my opinion. Generally agree. I think it'll be very interesting to see how much capital flows into NFTs of like the newer chain when we talked about like Barra, Abstract, list goes on. Talk about whoever you want that's launched within the past couple of months. But I do think that there's a fundamental, complete misunderstanding of how not only are these things like, okay, we can use like the historical references, whatever, but the IP, the integration, the way that these can kind of give back and give ownership to everybody that is a part of these things. And when we talked about the Pengu thing, when it first launched, I said there's now 250,000 people that are now wanting this brand to succeed on that initial day when 250,000 people collected that wallet. So you have 250,000 fans. We looked at LG Doucette's tweet. So now I have 1.1 million people that are wanting that brand to succeed. They have a vested interest in making that brand succeed. We do not comprehend the power that that has. And sure, I'm talking specifically about a crypto token, but don't forget where those crypto tokens came from. The NFT, could there be more for them over time? Obviously, the speculation is going to run rampant, but I'm just saying, I agree. Historical Bitcoin prices on Christmas back in 2013, $682. Jump all the way up to 2022, $24,665. Jump ahead to 2024, $98,150. Wow. Also, look at that. 2017 to 2018, it went from 14,000 to 3,000. Jeez. And then 50,000 to 16,000. Jeez. And then 43 to 98. Shit. Okay, wait. So that, hold on. If we're doing that pattern again, doesn't mean 2025 we're going to be way down. Sugar. Maybe. We'll see. Probably not. Who knows? Not tax advice, not financial advice, not any advice whatsoever, but just going to casually put this on the screen. If you guys aren't familiar, harvest.art is a site you can go to that you can tax loss your different NFTs. I do have to mention though, if you do the Kerberos Sentinel browser extension for Web3 safety, it does give like a false positive of saying like, oh, this is like a site that's not good. I've used it like years ago, so I had like no issue with it. And I've used it again this year. So just realize that it does kind of give one of those false positives of this is a bad thing, but basically it moves your NFT out of your wallet and it creates like a transaction. So you like sell it for like a cent or whatever. And so if you need to take a tax loss and you don't want to bug your friend about paying gas to do that, it is an opportunity to do that through there. And again, fake watch again. We're almost out of time here for 2024. This is why you got to lock in. This is absolutely why you got to lock in. The amount of people that bought NFTs, crypto, and just saying, nah, I'm not going to pay attention to things. Someone just listed 50 Lil Pudgies, which is the Pudgy Penguin secondary collection, and forgot to claim before listing, claiming the Pengu token. Nice of them to give out 8,500,000 Pengu as a Christmas gift to active NFT traders. Okay. So, what? Pengu's at like what? I mean, we'll just call it like 3.5 cents, right? It's probably higher than that, to be honest. So that person gave away 300,000 US for simply not claiming those penguins, right? 300,000. Oh. It gets worse. They also floored 50 unclaimed ROGs, was more like 17 million Pengu. Okay. 0.35 times 17 mil. So $600,000. They missed out because they just weren't paying attention. And then people say, we don't like these NFTs. When there's stuff like that happens, and there's some people that are just checked out, wanting to buy it for whatever reason, got to lock in, got to check in, but I'm checking out. Thank you guys so much for coming on through. It's been a fire episode. Enjoy your weekend. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year's. All that good jazz. Thank you. I'll see you soon. Peace.